We are finally here, finally riding the much awaited TVS RTR 310 in Bangkok. There's so much to talk about this bike, but let's start with the engine, because even that has got a minor update. So this one actually packs a little more juice thanks to a new aluminum forged piston, which has helped TVS run higher compression ratios. They're also running a larger airbox, and thanks to that this one makes about 1.6 PS more and 1.4 more Newton meters compared to the RR310. Also, the sprocket, the rear sprocket on this is bigger, up from 42 to 46. So that gives you an insight into what they have planned for this. It's all about acceleration, and that's why the top speed is also down from 160 on the RR310 to 150 on this. Other than that, in standard trim, this also packs a lot of tech. Other than the standard trim, all other bikes come with bi-directional quick shifter. All bikes come with linear traction control, linear cruise control, rear lift mitigation, of course dual channel ABS. You get adjustable levers. This also is offered in the BTO trim. You have two options. The first option is the dynamic, which comes with fully adjustable suspension from KYB, as well as a tire pressure monitoring system, which is very cool. And then you have the Dynamic Pro, which is the fully loaded, the Flagship, which offers you 6-axis IMU, so cornering function. So you have cornering ABS, cornering traction control. So on top of that, they've also offered something which is unique called cornering cruise control, which means that if you have set the cruising speed to 80 and you're encountering a corner, normally you would have to brake or use the clutch to slow down. But in this case, all you have to do is lean the motorcycle. The IMU will sense that you're leaning the motorcycle and automatically reduce the speed. So that is something pretty cool that I'm looking forward to test. And the top variant also has another first, which is climate control seats, which allows you to either heat the seats or cool them down by 15 degrees. And also in terms of the way it looks, I think they've done a really good job. This reminds me a lot of the old Ducati Street Fighter, especially in this yellow trim. It looks like a proper hooligan. A lot of cuts, really sharp edges. And yeah, looking at all of these bikes, this is undoubtedly my favorite, the yellow trim. So we are still getting out of the city, and as you can see already, the bike is heating up a fair bit. We have been stuck in chock-a-block traffic, but yeah, you can feel a decent amount of heat coming onto your thighs. This also comes with a Smart Connect, which means you have Bluetooth connectivity, turn-by-turn navigation, intimation for incoming calls and messages. But on this one, now you can also control your GoPro using these toggle switches. Happy to report that whatever vibrations we saw creeped in around 6000 RPM, they did settle down as the revs climbed, and even at 130 is what we could do. As of now, the bike seemed to be a lot not as buzzy as I had anticipated, so that's good. So we're at the first stop, and yeah, I think the seat can definitely do with a little more padding, because my butt is already sore and I've barely gone like some 20 odd kilometers, 30 odd kilometers. So from a touring perspective, long distance, yeah, the seat is not really ideal. But overall, I'm actually very impressed. I think TVS overall have definitely made a proper step up. I know we still have to ride on the track, really push it, but so far it's been quite impressive, the way how responsive the engine is, how punchy it is even at the top and at the higher gears, and also the vibrations definitely seem to be a lot lower compared to what we have experienced on the RR310. So the fueling, the vibration damping on this is definitely a step up. Ride quality is exceptional. This is just absorbing everything, but at the same time you have a lot of confidence. You have a really good front end feel going into corners when you're braking. Talking about braking, the system is exactly the same as from the RR310, and we did not really get a chance to really do some proper braking test because we are riding on the road. But yeah, you have the same Michelin Road 5 sticky rubber, you have the same equipment which has impressed us thus far on the RR310 on this machinery, and it continues to impress, and you'll find out more when we ride on the track. So yeah, this is how we control the seat, the climate control seat. This is how you operate it. You go in the menu, go to preferences, go down, quick shifter, yeah, climate control seats. And right now I've set it to cool, so it's quite hot right here, and I gotta say already I can feel it. It's so much cooler. I think this was like a luxury we did not need, but I think now I'm becoming a fan, especially considering the bike is heating up. The seat is definitely helping to increase the comfort. Good stuff. So yeah, this is undoubtedly a street fighter because this is where it's thriving. It's very sharp, it's very agile, very quick at its feet. The seat height on this is 800 mm, which is 10 mm shorter than the RR310. So if you're not very tall, there's another added benefit that you have easy access to the ground. The thing about having really good mid-range is how tractable this is. So even the 4th gear, even at this speed, as long as you're keeping it above 3000 RPM and you get on the gas, it's very, very responsive. So we've reached the track after a road ride. We traveled about 66 kilometers, and that's given us a fair idea about how the RTR would be to ride in the city. And the first thing which stood out was the bidirectional quick shifter. Is very smooth, it's very precise, it's much better than the system that we have experienced on the KTM Duke 390 and the RC390. It's very slick, both up and down. Even at partial throttle openings, it slots into gear perfectly. So that was an absolute delight. I was a little bit worried also about the space, but once I sat on it, there was plenty of room for me to move around. Even for my 5'11" frame, I fit on it just fine. In terms of tech, the one thing which I missed out on is it has a 5-inch TFT display, as you have seen. It also comes with 5 riding modes. You have rain, road, sport, track, and also supermoto mode, and we all know what that means. It basically disengages the rear ABS. That means you can have a lot more fun here on the track. We finally got a chance to ride on the racetrack, and it's a pretty interesting racetrack this. I love the layout, but it's a very bumpy track. It looks like the tarmac has not been relayed in a long time. And another thing which I noticed, which I did not notice on the road, was the engine braking. So especially in the track mode, there's a small delay when you roll off the gas. The engine braking does not kick in right away, and that's a little bit scary here, because when you roll off the gas and before you hit the brakes, in that half a second you're expecting some support from the engine, which never comes. So that is something which I would want TVS to look into, at least in the track mode, where you want that extra support when you're braking from the engine. We also got a chance to try the cornering traction control and cornering ABS. ABS not so much, because they told us this is not the place, it's too bumpy for you to try the ABS, but try the traction control. So we put it on. So the good part is it's quite seamless, in the sense you don't really notice it intervening too much. But at the same time, when I started picking up the pace and started getting on the gas earlier, I was still losing a lot of drive. It's only when I looked down that I realized the traction control was kicking in and cutting off the power a lot. They should have probably also given this bike rear sets, especially if you intend to ride this on the track, because the foot pegs, the way they are placed, they start grazing very quickly. In fact, they also removed the feelers before we went out, and still I was scraping the pegs very frequently. So this is something very similar which we noticed even on the base RR310 and the BTO with the rear set pegs. That's what fixed it. So to summarize, this undoubtedly is now in many ways the flagship of TVS, because this has a lot of tech which even the previous flagship, the RR310, did not get, in terms of all the electronic support. And I'm sure the next iteration of the RR310 would probably get all of this and more. But on the other side, all of this tech comes at a very hefty price, because now suddenly
The model which I was riding today, the yellow bike with the Dynamic Pro BTO package, will put you back by 3,04,000 rupees. That's a solid 11,000 more than the top spec RR310. It's also about 7,000 more or 8,000 more than the current generation of the Duke 390. So is it really worth that extra dough? I think I'll need to ride the bike a little bit more to find out. So until then, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and do let us know if this would be your weapon of choice over the Duke 390.